So today, we're diving into a risk assessment tool that looks, well, elegant and really intuitive. You'll find it everywhere, from oil rigs to hospitals. It's called the bow tie method. But as we're about to see, behind this simple picture is a surprisingly controversial story. I mean, think about it for a second. How do you take a complex potential disaster with all of its different causes, domino effects, and awful consequences, and make it something people can actually understand? How do you possibly fit all of that onto a single page? Well, for a lot of people, this is the answer: the bow tie diagram. It's supposed to be this clean, visual map of everything that could go wrong. It shows you the initial threats, the final impacts, and everything in between, all in one clear picture. All right, so let's take a closer look at where this thing actually came from and figure out why it got so popular in the first place. Its story really kicks off in academia, way back in 1979. But it didn't really take off until the 90s. That's when big petroleum companies started using it to get a handle on their huge, complex systems where safety is absolutely critical. After that, its use just exploded. Now, you'll find it in pretty much every industry you can think of. So what's the magic here? How does this thing actually work? Let's break it down, piece by piece, starting right in the middle. Okay, so everything revolves around this one thing: the unwanted event. Now, this isn't what caused the problem, and it's not the outcome. It's that single critical moment where you lose control. A data breach, a chemical spill, a total system failure. That's the knot at the center of our bow tie. On the left side of the bow tie, we map out everything that could happen before that unwarranted event. First, you list the threats, the things that could trigger it. Then you put in your barriers, your controls. These are your defenses, right? Things like multi-factor authentication or safety valves. They're designed to stop a threat cold. Now flip over to the right side. This part maps out the aftermath. So if your barriers fail and the event happens, what are the consequences? We're talking reputational damage, financial loss, maybe even harm to people. And just like on the left, you have controls here too, but these are all about recovery, your disaster response plans, your backup systems. And when you put the whole thing together, you get the full story. The left side is all about the likelihood of something bad happening, and the right side is all about the potential impact if it does. It's the entire story of a risk laid out visually from start to finish. It seems perfect, doesn't it? A simple, elegant, powerful way to talk about risk. But as the bow tie method got more and more popular, some pretty serious cracks started to appear in its foundation. And this is where our simple story gets, well, a lot more complicated. Researchers and practitioners started pointing out some really fundamental problems with how the bow tie is often used. Okay, so the first big knock against it is that it's static. A bow tie diagram is basically a snapshot in time. But the real world isn't static, right? Risks and systems change, they evolve. The diagram just isn't built to keep up with real-time data or shifting probabilities, which is kind of the whole point of managing risk. Then you've got the problem of bias. Who builds these things? Experts. And that means their opinions, their assumptions, their blind spots, all of that gets baked right into the diagram. So what looks like a super objective map of reality might just be one team's very subjective opinion. And this one is pretty wild. For a method that's used all over the world, there's no single agreed-upon definition of how to do it. Seriously. Beyond the simple shape, different organizations use it in totally different ways, with different rules. There's a shocking lack of consistency. And maybe this is the most dangerous flaw of all. The diagram's simplicity is its biggest selling point, but it's also its greatest weakness. It looks so easy to create, and that means people often make really sloppy ones with huge logical errors, which can give everyone a totally false sense of security. So let's just recap the big criticisms here. It's static, so it can't keep up with the real world. It's subjective, so it's full of potential bias. It's inconsistent with no real standard. And it's misleadingly simple, making it easy to get wrong. And to top it all off, it's often used for really rare catastrophes, where you barely have any good data to begin with. So where does that leave us? Is the bow tie method actually useful? Or is it just a pretty picture that gets us into trouble? Well, the reality is, it's a tool. And like any tool, it has very clear strengths and weaknesses. Is it good for communication? Absolutely. It's fantastic for getting a whole team on the same page and starting a conversation. But is it good for deep dynamic analysis? No, not really. And if you don't understand its limits, it can absolutely create a false sense of security. And that kind of leads us to the final big question. The entire appeal of the bow tie method is that it makes incredibly complex risks look simple. But when we see that kind of simplicity, should we feel confident because we understand it? Or should we be a little concerned about what that beautiful picture might be hiding?